My name's Paul Craddock. I am the client field marketing manager for Dell here in the UK. Now, that's a very elaborate way of saying that. As people say to me, so what do you do? I say, well, basically, I do what nobody else is doing. So my responsibilities sit with taking product to market, looking at routes and channels to market, briefing in new programs, actually executing new programs, and in addition to that, we do quite a lot of thought leadership stuff. I was just saying to Nick that some of the stuff that we do is around giving new direction to our own sales teams about what they should be looking for when they're talking to their customers. So we brief those guys every second week with just a new way of thinking about things, rather than looking at things from, one could say, first of all, product, but more importantly, you can also say, solution. But there's still different ways of viewing solutions. And really, frankly, that's what we're going to be talking about this morning, about the new mobile workforce, because mobility's, it's not just a word, it's not just a buzzword, but it can be all-encompassing. So I'm going to be, this is quite a detailed presentation, so do forgive me if I refer to notes, which were completed at 2 o'clock 2 nights ago. After a meeting in France. So, mobility's made an incredible impact on us in multiple areas and on the world we live in. The way we communicate with each other and the way we interact with the world around us in social media, applications, navigation, and constant user-generated content with cameras on devices, and you saw that when Adam showed the new device with the multiple cameras, the depth cameras on it. And we've got these with us all the time. There's even been points made, I think, recently where people have stopped enjoying things, and rather than enjoying the situation that they find themselves in, the first thing that people reach for is their mobile device and take a picture of it. So they've got a record of it that they never look at again in the future. This changes the way we interact with the world, and consequently, there's a big opportunity for mobility to change the way that we run and do our business. But too often, mobile projects are held up because business owners or business decision makers do not see the value of that mobility to transform their business. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and looking at it from a number of different angles. There's no such thing as just a mobile worker anymore. So in our daily lives, we know that mobility is driving cooperation and productivity, and we know that we're able to communicate much better with our friends and our co-workers. We know that we're able to get access to information that really changes the way we behave. Whether that, again, is navigation instructions that take us from wherever we are to wherever we want to go, or social media updates from all the people we're connected with. It still astounds me the amount of times people will communicate what they're doing on social media and Facebook. I'm really that interested, you've just cleaned the car, but people are telling people everything these days. We're able to gather information from everything that's contextually pushed to us. Our weather, rock bands we are fans of. We no longer wait for the next update, we go looking for it. Things that really drive our interest and our interaction. But in the enterprise, there are a lot of concerns about mobility. Concerns around security. Where's the corporate data going? Is the device, the data being accessed from elsewhere that we can't see? Is it secure? There are issues that there are a lot of vendors in the mobile space. So as a decision maker, how to decide which vendor to use. There are multiple vendors that we need to use because of the complexity of mobile solutions. But how do you deal with that? Then, of course, bandwidth in the IT group, as well as meaning who in our current organisation do we pull off projects that they're currently working on to put them onto a project which is solely based around mobility. So Dell has looked at this problem. The gap between mobility, security, and the way people currently work, the innovation gap between the promise of mobility and the offer of better productivity and increased collaboration, increased productivity. The gap between those benefits and the fear of security issues and complexity issues and bandwidth issues. Dell has created a set of mobile solutions that are allowing business owners and IT decision makers, VPs of sales, VP of manufacturing, to make very different decisions about their mobile program. First, we've created a set of mobile management solutions. This includes our ability to control mobile devices like a standard mobile device management solution, but also to put a secure workspace, an encrypted container that contains all of the corporate data but doesn't allow it to interact with other applications on a mobile device, whether that device is owned by an individual via BYOD. There's starting to be an increased uptake in BYOD. I had quite a cynical view on BYOD a couple of years ago, simply because of all the security issues that were potentially there. And I had a much favoured view on this, which was CYOD, which was choose your own device, whereby one set of devices is provided by one vendor and managed under one very complete umbrella. But to actually open the door to BYOD devices coming into the workplace willy-nilly and with little control seemed to me to be a little bit illogical. I went to a seminar, an education seminar of all things, and one of the questions was asked was, who has got a BYOD policy in their education establishment? And there was complete silence from the audience of 120 education professionals, except for one, who put his hand up. And he said, oh, that's very interesting. And what he got, he said, yes, we're rolling out to bring up BYOD solution for the school. And I thought, my God. And what was interesting then was that the debate then started. How do you control BYOD devices coming into a school and having them all adhere to the same security policy when some children are carrying 1, 2 phones, a tablet, everything else that's around? It's very, very complex and very difficult to police. And one of the things that we use, just getting slightly off track, which you have to forgive me, I have a really bad habit of doing, is that we have an entry-level Latitude laptop, the 3015, and that is specifically designed for schools to enable teachers to control, to a degree, the access of the children. Apart from the fact it's rubberized around the outside with spill-proof keyboard and a spill-proof touchpad, and it's secure so the little treasures can't get into it. It also has a little light on the back that flashes every time anyone is accessing the internet, when maybe they shouldn't be. So, again, security issues, that's the physical side of protecting against it, but there are all manner of considerations. We also created an extended new line of tablets, which you saw earlier, the Venue Pro series, which are changing the way we think about tablets in the workplace. In all the customers we've talked to about tablet usage, what we found is that a large degree of the tablets are not being rolled out as primary device. They're being utilised as secondary devices. Now, I didn't see all of Adam's presentation. I think this is, I doubt he will have touched on this one. But we did hear of a mobile application rollout into a Salesforce application, sometime 2 years ago, I believe it was. And what actually happened was that they were looking at the number of visits that the salespeople were making every day, because the salesperson was having to go to a customer, drive to the next customer, and then in the evening, you'd have to do a visit report for every one of those customers and upload it back to the corporate server. Now, the problem with that was that there was a choice of either doing that report in the evening or doing that report between customers. So what they found was that if they could actually remove that report, it, one, gave the guys some time back in the evening, two, it meant that they could do more customer visits during the daytime. So they put in place a tablet-based, touch-based, almost tick-box-based, to be honest, solution for the sales teams, and saw a 60% increase in productivity because it meant that they could simply come out, sit in their car, and they could then prepare for the next call, but at the same time quickly input the results from the previous call. And that gave a tangible change to the business and a whole new improvement in that business metric. So, we find that many people are not using them as primary devices, and that lots of people are using iPads, tablets, Android devices as a companion device just for email, calendar, and contacts. But very few people are putting these tablets in the hands of their employees as their only device, so they can do content creation or have access to a full range of applications, and also give those tablets to mission critical workers to engage with customers for example, on the retail floor or in healthcare or in finance. So very few of our customers currently are actually deploying tablets. Hence, we've created processes to allow you to do that. It's a Windows 8 device that gives you a full application access like any other device on the network. It's controllable and secure, and as any device, any desktop or ultrabook you may have out there. And it's got the power. As Adam was saying earlier, the Venue Pros, the high-end Venue Pros are Intel Core based products, and they're very, very powerful. Full Windows image on them. So it's got the power, it's got the construction, it's got the battery life to be able to stand up to a full 8 hours of business and allows people to use it as their primary device. Something that we're striving for within Dell is that exactly that, this whole drive towards mobility and the concept of being able to have a device that, one, not only is your primary device, but two, will also give you a full day of usage from its battery, from its primary battery. Dell's also got a wide variety of data center solutions allowing virtualization to become part of the mobility plan. You can virtualize an application and deliver that security to any device, particularly in highly regulated industries like healthcare or finance. Where you're not allowed to have that data rest on any device because of those security concerns, Dell also can help you develop the mobile applications. We can do everything from helping define it through, and because Dell believes that developing that mobile app out of an enterprise app may not be exactly the right thing to do. We need to think about these things together, but at the same time separately. What you actually want to do is to develop a mobile app which is specific to the function, instead of just trying to take an existing enterprise app, downsize it, or take a small component of it. We also have a process for the security world which allows you to securely send data over any network device without threatening your network and or losing that data to hackers. Now that is becoming increasingly difficult, but even yesterday our network got hit by a virus. Yes, it got contained very quickly, but they're coming through. I forget the stat, but the number of viruses which are generated per day is in the tens of thousands. I think it's actually probably even in the hundreds of thousands. So it's quite difficult to keep these things secure. So our solution portfolio creates optimal solutions for every type of use case. We described a lot of those different ways already that we can help the employees to transition to mobile applications to improve that productivity and improve and change business processes and improve metrics. So, this has opened up a door to a lot of new use cases that we may not have considered before when we think about mobility. Now, based on interactions with customers over the past year, we know that mobile collaboration is the primary solution that customers are using in email, contacts, and calendar. Coming in on the tube this morning, the train, not the tube because there's no network down there, but on the train, watching people not interacting with each other, but interacting with their mobile phone I even saw the lady sitting next to me. I shouldn't have read it, so I apologise, but she was actually sending her daughter, who it appears was quite young, a good morning message on her phone because she'd obviously had to leave before it was breakfast and said, "Don't forget to get your Weetabix." And I'm thinking, dear Lord, is this what we're coming to? So it is, it's becoming more and more the way that people are living. So there's a significant advantage to doing this. It's proven through studies that if you give a worker a smart device, or you can allow them to use their own personal smart device to access just those simple applications, email, calendar, and contacts, they will stay connected to work up to 460 additional hours a year. That is 8.8 hours a week. And I don't think any of us would probably dispute that, because the first thing you look at in the morning is your phone. The last thing you look at night is your phone. Not necessarily phone, but email, text messages. I've not heard back from the plumber because something's gone wrong. And I'm glancing at the phone every 2 minutes just to see if he's sending me a text message. Now, previously, didn't we used to wait till we get home and pick a telephone up and ring people? It's a totally, totally different world. So now, I think we all know that's true because we basically use our phone, as I say, exactly all of those times, both first thing in the morning and last thing at night. So there's actually great collaboration there. And I think the most important thing to realise there, that mobile collaboration is not just for mobile workers anymore, it's for all of us, for everybody. We used to believe that there was a subset of workers that we would call mobile, and those workers would leave the office, engage with customers because that's what we thought those mobile solutions were for. Realistically, now everyone in your organisation is mobile. If you've got a finance team or if you've got an accounting team, you'll find that they are working more and more, maybe not all of them working from home, but they're certainly working in different parts of the building. Now, it looks as though with ubiquitous Wi-Fi and new work styles, there are up to 70% more people this year working from home, at least one day of a week. But it's not just the working from home piece, as I say. You'll see that mobile collaboration, having access to email, calendar and contacts is really crucial for the entire staff and not just for what you would come to consider a mobile worker. When you talk about the field sales function, you talk about relationship management, and what they are doing here and now is starting to simplify mobile access and give people access to critical customer data and do it on fewer devices than you are probably supporting now in the IT function. Now the majority of customers that we speak to are considering supporting a mobile field sales force are probably providing them with 3 devices: a smart device or a supporting BYOD device. They could also give them a tablet and maybe a content creation device like a PC or a Mac. But our new tablet portfolio allows to condense those devices, and when you have a form factor that can work as a tablet or a slate or with a detachable keyboard with 10 extra hours of battery life, so that whole functionality around 1 day's full usage. It can also work as a content creation device with full application access within full Windows image that you see an IT professional. So you see that an IT professional can shrink that number of devices from 3 potentially down to 1, more likely in my view down to 2. We're all still going to use smartphones. So you can shrink that number of devices being provided to the field sales team, and as a line of business owner, what you see now are great opportunities for people to use this new form factor to engage with their customers in a more vibrant way. Just recently, one of our salespeople was having a hard time breaking through a particular customer, and he was able to, should we say, get additional time with the customer outside of the office and take him through the solution on a Venue Pro. And that's something that couldn't have been done before because the customer actually said, we've been talking whether this was feasible, why don't you come and see us again? And that's the sort of thing, you couldn't have done that some time ago because the simple power was not there in the mobile device. So field management, and we're talking here about field sales and distribution, inventory, repairs, these types of field sales to service team, field service teams are critical to the success of an organisation. And yet what we've found is that this group has less access to mobile devices and applications than ever before. So when you think about a field service person who has to drive out in the morning, pick up a day's instructions, drive back out again, and find the customer, look where the customer is. If the customer's not there, find out where he is. If you can't see him, then he's got to make another appointment. That is lost time. It's non-work time. It's unproductive time. So if you've ever heard that before, so have these individuals in the field who are basically driving revenue for your organisations, yet they're working inefficiently on the job. Lots of confusion around collaboration, which gives them a direct negative impact on the bottom line. So by giving them a tablet, giving them access to current applications, for example, turn-by-turn navigation, which I think my wife ran off with my sat-nav last week, and I couldn't actually take my daughter to her climbing lesson of all things on Sunday because although I've been there times, I'd done it all on autopilot. So I didn't get guided in by a sat-nav, I got guided in by a 10-year-old. And that's rather worrying, how dependent we become on these devices. So allowing them to take pictures of the work that they're doing, and that again is a reason that we're bringing devices to market now with 3D cameras, where they can actually have the customer pay for the work using the card swipe. I mean, heaven forbid, but we've all been to the Apple Store, and I'm sure a lot of us have been to the Apple Store, and people walk around and take your money from you on devices. There's no such thing as a till, and they email the receipt to you. This is without a doubt the future. Customer engagement's another big opportunity for tablets. Retail now is under fire where online shopping is eating into a lot of retail revenue. There's a phenomenon called showrooming, where you go into a shop, find something you like, either take out your mobile phone, take a photograph of it for later reference, or have a look on the internet and see where you can get it cheaper or cheaper online. So retail needs to start engaging with customers more directly with a device that allows them to look at online pricing, inventory and product information, and there are very few retailers doing this currently. In the US there are a few, and there are a couple in Europe, as I've just mentioned. But in general, there's a big opportunity if you are a leader of an organisation running a number of retail establishments. Indeed, there are many potential areas of engagement: doctor's surgery, shop floor management, where you have people who need information before they can act and have mission critical work. In every other type of work, engaging with the customer and driving a mission critical metric for your business. That is a crucial part of how tablets and mobile devices and mobile applications can change engagement and assist in more effective customer interactions. So, Dell believes that if you are interested in driving these types of benefit, and if mobile devices could be a benefit to your organisation, and in a recent study we did, about 60% of customers we polled said they do believe in mobility as a competitive advantage. And they are concerned about being displaced by a competitor who can more efficiently and effectively use mobility. Forrester have produced a paper called Re-Engineer Your Business for Mobile Applications, which states that if you are not using mobile devices effectively, there is a good chance you will be displaced in the market. Dell believes that getting started is about finding a way to get optimal computing solutions for each one of your key workers. We really define that in 3 areas. In every type of company, regardless of size and regardless of vertical, there are 3 types of workers. Mobile collaborators, and they might not even be full-time employees, but they still need access to collaboration tools like email, calendar and contacts. Mobile specialists who are out in the field meeting customers, so the question is how to give them full mobile access to their mobile devices. And the last group are those mission critical workers where you're trying to create a very job specific solution for someone who probably just needs access to just one application. So, let's talk about transitioning from mobile workers to mobile workforce. Classically, we have thought about mobile job roles, mobile sales teams, mobile service teams. It was only people involved in customer engagement who were up and out of the office talking to customers. I mean, gone are the days when I started as a service engineer. You could disappear for the day because there's no such thing as a mobile phone. Trackable all the time now. They usually had a full travel schedule, and so you give those people those corporate-owned devices. But in the new mobile workforce, what you see is that there is an entire workforce of people who are accessing mobile devices. Whether that is someone using a smart device to access email, calendar, contacts, or whether they are collaborating with other co-workers using text messaging. So realistically, every role is now mobile. There's ubiquitous Wi-Fi, so people moving around your office are now more effective than ever before. In fact, based out of Bracknell, where I am, we've got, if any of you have ever been or know where we are, we have a huge building which houses only a few people. Somebody said to me, I was in a meeting yesterday, and somebody said, oh yeah, I was in Bracknell last week, there were 5 of us in our area which seats 150. Because people work from home, they work from wherever they are. But more importantly, they don't sit at their desks. They actually go and sit and work in the staff restaurant, or they go and find a room, because you can access everything from everywhere. So people are actually collaborating much more effectively. Some days within Dell, we can actually run call after call after call, share desktops on each of our screens. These calls are coming in from all over, particularly all over Europe. I'm not going to say all over the world because of the time difference, but particularly from all over Europe. And that's how we run our business. Without mobile collaboration, I'm not sure we could function. So people are actually collaborating much more effectively and working away from their desk. And as I say, we believe that about 70% more people are now working from home last year than compared to the previous year. I've been with Dell now a couple of years, and when I first started, I actually had quite a lot of difficulty getting my head around that because my previous manufacturer was stuck in a time warp that basically said, if we can't see you, you're not doing anything. So I kept going into Dell, and suddenly became aware of the fact there was only me and the boss there. So, it is a completely different way of thinking. So this is a gigantic leap forward. And in addition to that, coming into London this morning, you stop becoming a sardine on the tube train. We know that constant collaboration is key, and whether or not it's the finance staff, whether or not it's operations people. My boss currently is sales operations manager, marketing operations manager, and she's based in Glasgow. I see her once every 6 months, but we talk probably every couple of days. It could even be product planners. Their ability to collaborate with their peers and their customers is crucial, which is why you need to help drive a new mobile workforce instead of just the classic subset of traditional mobile workers. So Dell believes in a new strategy for mobile collaboration. We know end users want productivity and their privacy, so there is a big push for BYOD, or indeed to use personal devices, whether they are Android or iOS, in the workplace. Now, without a doubt, some companies do not and will not allow mobile devices. Yet what we have found in meetings over the last year is that companies are now using BYOD as an option to bring collaboration, to bring those mobile devices to their employees than ever before. So it is starting to lift. But the security thing, I think now people are becoming more comfortable with it, and we'll talk about what Dell's contribution to that is in a moment. Another thing we found out was that even the companies who stated that they only allow corporate-owned devices, often these devices are Android or iOS devices, and so regardless of whether it's a corporate-owned device or a personal device, if you are supplying or allowing Android or iOS devices into the workplace to be connected to the network, then you need to take some security steps to make sure that access is not going to negatively affect your network or the safety of your data. People want to use their own devices, but IT must control the data and protect that network, so that what we say here is that separation is the key. That's why we've created a set of mobile management solutions that allow you to put a secure corporate workspace onto any laptop, any tablet, or any mobile device. This is a secure encrypted container that sits over the device. Employees will open it just like any other app on their Android or iOS device, but within this app is all the corporate data, email, calendar, and contacts, file sharing. Now, not only does this help IT protect this information and still provide privacy for the end user, but it also helps with the complexity in the IT environment. IT decision makers are struggling with disconnected back end, too many vendors. Small vendors are getting brought out by vendors, and lots are getting bought out by larger vendors, and lots of draw on the IT budget. Sorting out all of these different mobile solutions with Dell's mobile solutions, you can now help IT centralize the number of solutions they are supporting, because whether it's tablets or smartphones, iOS or Android, whether it's traditional application management or pushing out secure application spaces, you can do it all from one device. Now, with Dell Mobile Management Solutions, what this is doing is allowing people to use their device. You can expand the number of users you are supporting, but you are also able to have complete control of the data. So we've got secure endpoint management, as detailed here. Secure enterprise workspace on all devices. Secure access to enterprise devices as data, as we touched on earlier. Consolidated management, user self-service, identity management, etc., etc. You've also got Dell Case K1000 as a service for managing any Mac or PC. You've got Dell Mobile Management, and this Dell Mobile Management, which will allow you to control any device like any mobile management solution in the market. But then we've got a secure mobile workspace for Android or iOS devices, and a secure desktop workspace for any device that is a laptop or Mac OS device. And given the fact that Dell is truly an end-to-end solution provider, everything from the data center right down to the tablet, you can come to one company just for all of that provision. So, as a business owner, this provides tremendous flexibility across a wide variety of vertical use cases. So, if you're managing a field staff and you want to push out email, calendar and contacts to that team, you can now work with IT and say you now have a way to support BYOD without putting corporate data at risk. If you have a field sales team or a field service team, if you have people using mobile collaboration who just work around the office, you now have a way to simplify the number of devices and the way IT manages them and still give them all of the collaboration access that's needed. We're seeing tremendous uptakes in the education sector where students are using the desktop workspace to access the full image for school applications. In the healthcare sector, we see where doctors are able to access all of the records they need to on a BYOD device, and it's still encrypted in the container. And so even though it's on a personal iPod or personal iPhone, not so sure, they still have access to the records without the threat of those records being lost onto social media or some other such threat. If you then look into industries such as oil and gas or any company that has purchased or merged with another company, IT decision makers are using the desktop workspace to, in essence, re-image very quickly those new PCs without having to bring the PC into the office. To build the new image, they're able to push it out on an email, and the end user downloads the application from a URL and installs the applications either online or offline. So, the second challenge is to deliver full application access to mobile professionals. Mobile professionals are defined as sales teams, executive staff, and maybe people in business development. There are people out engaging with customers. They're primarily responsible for revenue generation and are all using a smartphone for collaboration and staying in contact. The majority of these people, according to our research, are also using a tablet, and they are mainly using that for document viewing, but will have some type of PC or Mac for content creation, which can't be done on a smaller device. So while we are trying to consolidate a device strategy, we know that not one of these devices gives you all we need. Smartphone is great for staying in contact, but you can't really view documents on it. Tablets are great for viewing documents, but you can't really edit those documents. Considering you have a PC for all of your content creation, this is driving a lot of complexity and risk and cost into the IT department. And when you think about your budget as VP of Sales or VP of Manufacturing or MD or General Manager, this can have a tremendous amount of impact on the way you need to support these end users. So when we think about the new mobile workforce, what we realize is that convertible devices are the way to go. A device that can be used as a tablet, a slate or an ultrabook, and a device which really improves access. Instead of having a small set of collaboration tools, now you can have a full image, which is crucial. We have discussed having the email, calendar and contacts, but a full mobile professional needs access to CRM, travel applications, navigation, pricing models, PowerPoint for presentations, Excel, Word to edit contracts if that opportunity should arise with a customer. And so they cannot just get by on email, calendar and contacts any longer. With a convertible device, you have fewer devices, but much better productivity. This is an area, I think Adam mentioned it earlier. I know that if you look at it from a tablet perspective, which we'll come on to in a second, the Venue Pro 11 absolutely sits in that space with a detachable keyboard. But there are alternatives. We have the convertible 7350 device for part of the Latitude range, and later on this year we will continue to invest in that line and extend beyond it. So convertible devices and and the move towards different types of mobility device and different types of form factor, without a doubt, is way up there on our agenda. In fact, just an aside, we've got some really exciting stuff coming down the line. Mobile devices, full stop. If you pop along to the Dell stand, take a look at the XPS 13. I'm off down a slight tangent here, but the XPS 13 is the latest prosumer device, which has a true infinity display. I think that one's got quad HD graphics as well. So really, really exciting developments coming from Dell currently. So very quickly touching on the Venue Pro 11, here is what we believe with the Venue 11 device as a crucial end-to-end device. 10.8-inch display, Windows 8.1. It will be Windows 10, obviously, when that comes out later in the year. Active stylus, a 10.8-inch display, full functionality as a notebook with docking as well. You can also do anything with the full Windows version of Office, so editing, and you've got the 10 extra hours of battery life with the powered detachable keyboard down on the bottom there. And if you dock it, you can also run off wireless keyboard, wireless mouse, and two displays, so it becomes a true portable solution. With workers in highly regulated industries such as finance and healthcare, now whilst we say that these people can use BYOD, they can put it into you've got the container application, etc., there are still going to be cases. What we find is that the people sometimes consider that there is simply too much risk, albeit that risk is pretty much negated. There's still too much risk to ever allow that data to go out of the office on any device because of the threat of it being lost or stolen, and even the thought that crucial customer information, patient information, could be lost to hackers. So with Dell Cloud Client Computing, what we do is combine data center cloud clients with endpoint software and services to really optimize the way that you would use desktop virtualization. For those of you running teams in such highly regulated industries, you can go to IT and say that we can bring together these components. The thin clients or the zero clients are there and available, and take advantage of Dell's management and user experience background to help build a solution very specifically, a very specific solution, depending on what your user and what your user group needs are. So, Dell has solutions for cloud client computing, for virtualization, for comprehensive endpoints such as zero and thin clients. We create all the monitors and accessories you need, and we have the most secure services, most secure devices on the planet. All of the data center components, so services, implementation, support, and management, are all created and owned by Dell. So we can help you build out the back end of the virtualization solution. We also have partnerships with Citrix, VMware, Microsoft, and then we have our own vWorkspace product. Combine that with our services, and say they're consulting, implementation, support, and management, and again, we can provide everything end to end. So all of this together means Dell is your one-stop shop for virtualization, but the intrinsic value for you as a customer is that over the past few years, we have logged over 100,000 hours designing reference architectures for every possible use case for virtualization. So whether or not you have a small staff of retail workers or you have a huge call center, we're able to design a virtualized solution for you based on previous experience with similar customers in similar verticals, and also taking into account, without a doubt, precisely what it is that you require for your use case. We've had great success in the healthcare area in Northern California. This one actually comes from. It's always a trial in any company to try and get hold of case studies specific to your region. And believe me, I've worked in a few vendors where everybody has the same challenges, but you can always rely on getting plenty of them to come over from the US. Here what we're talking about is the fact that a doctor can use a smart card to swipe into any device wherever in this particular hospital, and that doctor then has access to exactly where he was when he last accessed it via a smart card in any other part of the building or wherever he was, even down to where the position was of the cursor at the last point of access. So what that means is you've got less time being wasted logging into different applications as he moves around into different parts of the hospital. And it's simplified the way they access information and improved the way that they're caring for their patients. And then there's those other couple of case studies for wholesale retail and for insurance. So our third challenge, the last one, is creating job-specific applications to improve mission-critical interactions, mission-critical work, mission-critical components of your particular environment. So the classic view is that field workers have less access to mobile devices than any other work group. We did some research recently looking at both the European Union and the US. And what you find is that about 70% of the workforce has some kind of job in retail, education, healthcare, construction, distribution, or transportation. And this is the majority of the work that those people in those two regions, the majority of the work that these people do in that world. And so with paper processes, what you have is a significant amount of non-work time where you are going to be finding out what you're supposed to be doing, and then when you have found out what you're supposed to be doing, you then need to find out where you need to do it. Once you get to the location, you need to start collaborating with people and who may not even be there, or looking for more information as to where they are. Once you've found them, maybe even then looking for more information in user manuals and documentation. There are also a lot of administrative inefficiencies because of the paper trail that is responsible for distributing the information, then taking that information when it comes back from the customer and entering it into an administrative system. When I was writing these notes the other day before a meeting, somebody said to me, "I've never seen anybody recently write that many words." And I thought, no, you're right. It's all done in Word. It's all people are doing it wherever they are with their computer. But I just chose in this particular instance to write it. Right, then you have a really lengthy amount of delay from when the work is done to the actual invoice, which is another issue. This is another big problem, and with the new mobile workforce, what we're doing is using mobile applications and mobile devices to provide application access at the point of impact. Instead of all of the lost time when, for example, a worker does not need to get into his van and drive to pick up his day's instructions, but instead have these delivered to him as he gets in, as he switches on his device, as he starts the ignition, they could then get all of the relevant work orders in real time. We know this happens now, but it's not happening maybe enough. They're able to collaborate with co-workers, and they have instant access to payment information and can enter information straight into the administrative system. Payments made in real time. This changes the way that these workers do what they do, and it adds to a very significant advantage for the organisation. People are starting to drift towards this already, and everybody needs to get onto the front foot with it. To help with this, Dell has created a customer application development organisation. Dell has approximately 5,000 people working in application development and modernisation. Within that, we've created a mobile applications practice which has worldwide staff focused on developing for devices including Android, Apple iOS, Windows or Windows PC, so right across the board. This organisation is a mobile centre of excellence, and the first step of their process is to get together a goal for the group of professionals in the organisation who sit down to define exactly what the mobile applications of that particular work group within that particular organisation are and what they need. So what are the business goals that you have, and how are you going to approach these? What's the optimum user interface to drive the productivity you're looking for? From there, we go on to build it, build the UI, create the visual design and develop it for any one of the platforms I've just mentioned, and then push it out to your clients so that you can test, to you and your workforce, so you can test it and you can start using it. We handle deployment, support and testing to make sure it is working effectively, and we'll even go down to training the end users as well. So this is a full service provision and full service practice, full service portfolio that allows you to think about mobile applications differently. Now, the great thing about working with Dell is that from a mobile application perspective, we can also help with the enterprise application perspective. So we can, again, true end-to-end, right from data center right through to tablet. So while many organizations are using small vendors, we know that's obviously still happening a lot, and where those vendors that have application access in the mobile space are using them to develop applications for the enterprise, and they are, well, causing more trouble than it's worth in some instances, because it may not be the case that the mobile application does not necessarily fit into the larger enterprise application, looking at it from a broader perspective. Doesn't fit into their overall strategy. So the strategy may be dividing, and trying to bend something to fit isn't going to be the best use of spending what can become quite a lot of money, particularly if then challenges come up immediately afterwards. On the other hand, Dell can help with the entire application, the enterprise application strategy, but also to help build the mobile applications which will fit whether you're moving from mainframes to x86, x86 to cloud, private cloud, etc., etc. So, when we think about mobile strategy and how we get started, we need to think about the strategic business rather than just the mobile collaboration. Firstly, we know about productivity. We know that when you think about mobile applications, maybe the first thing you think about are those on the left-hand side. How productive are people? How aware are they of what they need to do? How agile are our applications? How do we collaborate, and how is everybody communicating? It's all a given, and that's part of what has been crucial to the success of mobility in the enterprise over the past 5 years. What we don't think about quite as much, though, is process improvement. So, reduction and in reducing non-work time, being in the right place at the right time with the application, having no or fewer paper processes, and having reduced administration, meaning that in an organisation you can relocate some of the headcount into customer-facing roles, whereby you can, and if you can eliminate that cost in the back office personnel, for such things as order entry, invoicing, etc., etc. This is a really crucial part of how you could then transform the business. So improvement, as you consider your current workforce and think about how you can move to the next stage of this evolution mobility, is the key way to do that. Now, something we rarely think about are the strategic benefits of a mobility program. And we talk here about headcount allocation by moving people into customer-facing roles, as we just mentioned. Territory design, optimization of the way people work during a day, giving service staff more time in the field, given where they're working, where their locality is. Products and services. Freeing up all that headcount, then you can ask yourself, well, hang on, what new products and new services can I now develop? And it also means you change your hiring and location practices. You're no longer restricted. I can remember this when I first graduated, and the first thing that they said, where do you live? So, have we got to pay you a relocation sum? Don't even need to bother about that anymore. I was talking to one of my colleagues the other day, and I said, well, can we get together? Because we needed to sit down and throw some ideas together rather than doing over a call. And he said, well, it's a bit inconvenient because I'm in Northampton. Okay, and the point being is you don't actually know where these people were based. I was with somebody at a meeting day before yesterday, and her name was her surname was Neuville, and I thought strange because her first name was English, and I said, you based out of Bracknell? She goes, no, Montpellier. So you don't know where these people are, and I've been dealing with her for the best part of 12 months. So when we talk about the strategic benefits of a mobile program, it's more than just productivity and process improvement. It's truly part of the overall business strategy. And the fact that you'll be running an organisation from the ground up, wouldn't you think differently about the way you'd hire, locate and empower people, and therefore that will affect the type of device that you have to give to those people and type of infrastructure that you need to give to people in their home environment. You can redesign your organisation from today when you start to think about the changes you could make over the next 12 months with regards to that device choice. Immediately start to have an impact on such things as budget control for device deployment. Okay, so how do we get started? The first and most important thing to do is to think as a person who is responsible for driving revenue or handling services or engaging with customers in some way. So you may be the business owner, but think about how those people need to engage. You really need to define the business outcome, to isolate the metrics, the processes, and the people that most need mobile solutions. This is actually more difficult than you would maybe think. Because if you ask a customer to isolate the metrics important over the next quarter or the next half, the answer is often different to what you think it would be. So what is the key metric that you would like to see change over the course of this year? What is the one metric? What is the one difference that can make a huge difference to your business? Is it the number of customers you want your people talking to every day? Is it the revenue generated per customer? Is it the number of additional services or bolt-on products, for want of a better way of putting it, that you want to sell to people? The amount of time it takes to get an invoice paid. Can you really afford to wait for that 30 or 90-day payment? How do you audit that process, and who are the people that affect that metric? By defining that metric, you will effectively identify an area in your business where a mobile strategy could work and can help you. The second thing you would think you want to do is to work with IT. IT has got a really, really tough job. They're managing lots of devices, they're responsible for the network, they're the ones that's always their fault when you get a blue screen. And they need to keep it safe, secure, and within budget. So you should go around IT, you should not go around IT, but you should absolutely work with them. Bring them in to talk about the metrics and the processes they're trying to improve. Their buy-in is absolutely key and critical. The third step is to define metrics by criticality and establish a business outcome roadmap. A business outcome roadmap timelines the key metrics for improvement by criticality. Then you can even more fully engage IT, because that takes you to the fourth step, where you should engage with the mobile solutions leader. You need to find a solutions provider who can focus on outcomes first and technology second. So, might sound daft, but let's think about what we're trying to achieve, not what we've got that we can achieve it with. You'll probably find that will provide immense cost savings over the longer term. We've talked a lot about users, applications, solutions, but Dell's position of mobile solutions leader is to say, let's work on your outcome and on your user groups and understand how we can help those people to do a better job. And then we can step back and look at the technology requirements. We know the solution will be simply defined, as I say, on the user case. And I think it's changing, but certainly up until in the not too distant past, it was more a case of let's try and fit things into what we can reasonably provide. Get the application to work with what we currently have. So, because of that, we've put together a broad end-to-end portfolio. No other vendor in the industry has as many assets as we do, organised specifically to help with your mobile platforms. Whether that's the group of devices from Venue tablets to XPS and Latitude laptops and Ultrabooks to our Precision workstation and our Cloud Connect devices, or whether it's management where we've got Dell Mobile Management, Dell Case K1000, Dell Mobile Workspace, and Dell Desktop Workspace. They are all supported by Dell services. All of that Dell devices, management, security infrastructure, applications, all supported by a very large service organisation sitting below it. The portfolio is the broadest in the industry, and it will allow you to make very different choices about each one of your user groups. Although this portfolio is great, Dell does believe that the intrinsic value does not just lie in the breadth of portfolio. We really believe that the value to you lies in the fact that Dell is not beholden to one particular solution. So unlike many mobile business providers who come in and say, you need virtualization for all of your users, or mobile management or mobile application development is the one thing, is maybe the one thing you need. We look at it completely on what the usage case is, and we have experts in all of those those areas. I was looking yesterday at the internal, what they call acquisition list of people that we're looking for out there at the moment, and there's the usual plethora of salespeople that we're looking for, but there was an awful lot of specialists being brought in at very, very senior positions in developing the provision of those services and what we need to provide to the end user. So, we're really thinking about how we get the best in the industry to be able to provide the best solutions to our customers and prospects. We have a very, very broad portfolio, as I say, and because of because of that, we can be objective and holistic, and that we look at what solution will fit in what user group within your organisation. And we can be very usage-centric and talk to you about the users that you're trying to solve for, and to find a solution that is perfect for that work group. I know I'm stressing that point, but it is very, very important. Now, every device that we build, from storage, networking to servers and data center product, is all based on security. That's the key element that has made Dell successful over the past 30 years. This will always be a key part of our value proposition to you. What's also interesting is that since Michael Dell bought the company back, seems like a lifetime ago now, I think it must be about 15, 16 months, what we found is the rapidity for us to not turn on a sixpence. Where we see an opportunity and where we see a need for a device, the business case is very quickly presented to Michael. We were talking to one of the execs a couple of weeks back, and he was saying that they put a proposal to Michael. Michael said, yep, let's have a board meeting. Okay, that's a green light then. Because he doesn't need to do that because it's his cash. And that means that we can very quickly change things around. We launched the Optiplex Micro last year. We didn't have any sight or sound of that coming along. And yet it was the one form factor that was really, in my view, missing from the desktop range. And it's just from my perspective, it's a very, very exciting time for us. So, mobility meets reality at last. What does Dell's end-to-end portfolio and differentiated approach mean to you? What does it mean to mobilise the potential? It means we can empower the workforce. It means we can drive business performance by redesigning those workflows, streamlining processes, and enable IT control. And instead of IT just being those guys that, inconveniently fix my laptop because it's had a blue screen and they want to, it's not just those guys who get a tough time all the time. It's the guys that are able to specifically contribute to the business metrics. It's about how we're going to give IT the tools that then need to give the total peace of mind about where and when the data moves around and how it's held securely. Right. So finally, just reiterating what it says on here, Dell is truly has, in my view, the power to do more. It's from a mobility perspective, it's about how you do provide the right thing, the right solution, the right combination of application, security and device to each worker within the organization to improve productivity, to make a step change in the go-to-market, and to change the way business processes flow, and then to change the way about how we strategically think about business. As I say, it's an exciting time. I hope that has been useful for you, and thank you very much.
I assume did you take a few questions on the fly? Does anyone have any last questions? Yes.
Thanks very much. You were talking about metrics and audit. Do you have any stats on improved productivity and processes from any of your customers from going mobile?
Well, the one that I would say is just to reiterate that particular Salesforce solution. That is the one that stands out more than anything. From the point of view of moving from their current solution to totally mobile, I don't carry that sort of information in my head. But what I can say is that one particular solution, which is an absolute standout one, where we saw a 60 to 70% improvement in productivity during the daytime. It meant that people didn't have to sit in their cars typing up reports when they could actually, in that 30 minutes it took to write that report up, that they then had to, they could have been driving to the next customer. So I think the important thing there about mobility is it's not necessarily how much you can save, it's how much you can save in terms of what you currently have and whether people are working most efficiently now. There are instances, people have been saying to me, let's take Optiplex Desktop for as an example. I can remember in 2005, my manager at the previous company, at that time I was the product manager for the desktop line and displays, something else and something else, workstations and client and virtualized client. And he said to me, we're going to think about where you're going to move to next because the desktop's dead. I said, right, desktop's dead. Okay. So I started to think about it, and then I looked at the numbers from IDC and I thought, hang on a second. Now, if you look at the numbers from IDC now, the desktop isn't dead. The desktop has flattened and dipped a little bit, but there's still, I think, 1 million devices a quarter. Can't remember the number. It's a lot. And what is actually happening is the desktop's not died. The desktop is still there because not everybody needs a desktop. Let me give you another little bugbear of mine, and it's called administrative assistance. Very strange situation I used to watch in a previous company where the admin person came in, unlock the drawer, take out the laptop, open the laptop up, work. 5:30, close laptop, laptop in drawer, lock drawer, go home. So, £800 laptop or £300 PC with a screen. There was no need for that to be an £800 laptop. Now, so there is still a space for the desktop PC without a doubt, but there is also a space for turning that desktop PC into a mobile solution. And you can do that, and this is something that we're talking to people about at the moment, whereby they have applications which have been put onto tablet, so in true Windows 8.1 compliant form, but those tablets then are used during the daytime when they're out on the road. In the evening, they go back, they plug it into their desktop, which they don't need that £800 laptop that they've carried around all day. They need a couple £100 worth of tablet, and then a £300 desktop, which is used in the evening for, uploading the stuff back up to the main server, or indeed doing additional work that you do need a larger screen for. So it's not just about moving from whatever to a mobile device-based solution. It's about moving to what is right for that particular work group, because you couldn't give a desktop PC to a field-based salesperson. I don't think his car battery would support it, but it's more the fact that they do need a laptop. But equally, then, what type of laptop? There is the argument that says that everybody wants ultra slim devices. Everybody wants an Ultrabook 21.7 millimeters thick. They don't want the bigger, clunkier, bigger device. But do they need it? If it's for a salesperson who gets in a car and then goes to a customer, comes back in the evening and uses it at home, takes it from his car and takes it home, then he just needs that rather bigger device. He doesn't need the expense of the ultra slim device. But the ultra slim device may be necessary for the person who flies a lot, who spends a lot of time carrying it at the airport. So therefore, weight becomes a consideration. So it's all sorts of different metrics, and it's digging down into what that actually is. What have I got? What do I need? Does that help?
So we're going to leave it there.